Today on the show, rushing into a burning cathedral, millennials at Mass, Fatherhood Redeemed, our picks of the week, and so much more. The Catholic Underground Easter edition is right here. Hello there. It is time for the CU Weekly. We are the podcast that tries to cut through the noise of the digital continent, and bring you the topics that matter. It's episode number 395. I am Father Chris Decker, and joining me this week, we got Kathleen Lee, the Executive Director of the Woman's New Life Center. Hey, Kathleen.
Hey, how are y'all?
We are well. We are well. I guess I should say who the other we is, right?
Yes.
Father Ryan Humphries, who's pastor of St. Edward the Confessor Parish in Tallulah, Louisiana. He's the editor of the Avogadro's Number Desk, which is constant, I suppose.
It is constant. Yes.
Hello, Father.
I'm not a ninja. Hello.
No, not a professional one anyway.
No, it's quite horrifying when I try to cut things in half with my hands and whatnot.
That's right. He has to use his space katana. Speaking of space, so let's go up to the Jeff Star 1 near-Earth orbit satellite to meet Jeff himself. Jeff Blackwell is the technical director of that satellite. He's also the commandant of that satellite. Hey, Jeff.
Some days, and I take a day off every now and then. So
that's right. Although I haven't seen it, I tell you, you're always there when we call upon you. And then in the ball pit,
yes, over there,
we've got Ed Ball, who's running the video. So if you're watching us on Facebook or any of the other outlets in which our video offering comes to you, that's Ed doing all that there. And Jeff, of course, is running all the audio for our podcast audience and those of you listening to us on the radio. So I don't know if you know, we're live on the radio on Sunday evenings in New Orleans on 690 AM, and then also here in Baton Rouge on 1380 AM and 105.9. Is that right? FM.
Yes,
in the city of Baton Rouge itself. Wow. So yeah, all sorts of ways to listen to us if you happen to be passing through Baton Rouge on your way to the beach. Kathleen, wouldn't it be nice if
it would be? I'm going to the beach in a couple weeks.
What? Okay.
I'm making music for a retreat at the beach. Can we talk about how fun this is? It's so, last year, it was like 100 junior high kids, me, on the beach at sunset playing Oceans. I was like, this is the weirdest, coolest thing ever. What is going on?
So I'm guessing they didn't have to twist your arm to do that.
No. They don't.
You said, would you? Yes.
Yes, it was beach. Yeah, okay, be there. Okay.
Father, whenever we were in the seminary, there used to be a charismatic Catholic conference.
It was called Beach Blast.
Beach Blast.
Indeed. It took place outside of Niceville, Florida, which was, one of the events. No, it was great. It was great. It was like 3 or 4 days long. It was a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I vaguely remember it. I never went. I don't know why.
Right, you weren't charismatic enough.
No, I suppose not.
This was not like Life Teen Charismania. This was Charismaniac. It was very, very intense, and it was the full-on, very charismatic at the time.
Yeah.
And it was connected between the Diocese of Alexandria, the Center for Jesus the Lord, and then
Pensacola, Tallahassee.
And there was but it wasn't the diocese. It was a parish there.
Oh,
but I can't remember the name of the parish. There were 4 of these kind of women who formidable women of God who just kind of had a friendship from their past, and they brought together by sheer force of will people from all over the country, and were like, "You're coming to the beach, okay?"
There's going to be prayer.
I mean, really, that's how it played out. It was great. It was called Beach Blast. It was a hoot.
Yeah, there you go. I had this vague recollection of it in my mind, but one of the things that is not a hoot is whenever church buildings catch fire. That was a pretty hard segue. But I tell you, I was rather surprised. I was doing work on my computer, just a regular old day, and I got a pop-up text on my phone saying Notre Dame in Paris ablaze.
Wow.
And I remember thinking, no, that can't be the same one.
Right.
And sure enough, it was a September 11th like thing. All of the international news media were covering it, and you're thinking, what is going on here?
Right.
And of course the hype of the situation, everyone thinks, well, it's done, it's gone.
Right. Yeah.
Because it just looked terrible.
Yeah.
And it wasn't without a great deal of danger and a great deal of destruction, but the medieval cathedrals were built to stand.
Right, yeah.
And they were built to withstand almost anything.
And stone doesn't burn very, very lightly.
No, exactly. And this, I believe, was not the first time that Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris had known fire, because in the medieval times, There were no forks, but in the medieval times, there was always the threat of fire.
Yeah.
You know, and so a couple of things happened in medieval times whenever there was fire, and that was that people always saw it as an opportunity to turn back to God. Oddly enough, the medievals didn't see it as God doing it, but they knew that because everything was made of wood and everything was fragile because of the building materials that they had, that it was an opportunity to turn back to the Lord. So whenever something caught fire and there was a huge damaging anything, they would always see it as an opportunity to say, well, now we must kind of refocus our efforts and turn back to God. And it was really neat to see some of that happening, because you saw that in Paris, as soon as these things happened, what happened? But Catholics got together and they began to sing hymns to Our Lady. Wow. Really was something. Yeah. And come to find out that it was the kind of the forest. They call it the forest, which were all of the timbers, these ancient, almost petrified oak trees that are 800 years old, that were beginning to burn. And then the spire, which was part wood, was burning as well. And so in the midst of all of this, in the midst of the firemen rushing in to try to save the North Tower, to save all the things that were burning, was one priest who was a fire brigade chaplain, Father Jean-Marc Fournier. And he was a chaplain of the Paris Fire Brigade. He is credited with doing a priest thing. Yeah. He ran in and he saved a reliquary containing the crown of thorns and the Blessed Sacrament. And so this was the thing. The chaplain reportedly demanded to be allowed into the cathedral along with the firefighters to go in for the relics. And a member of the Paris Fire Department told reporters on April 16th that he is an absolute hero. He showed no fear, quote, no fear at all, as he made straight for the relics inside the cathedral and made sure they were saved. He deals with life and death every day and shows no fear. I mean, that's something like the picture of Father Jean-Marc is he's wearing his clerics, but he's got the fireman's jacket on, you know, the flame retardant jacket. Yeah. And he just kind of ran in. The priest was said to be at the hot end of the human chain, so he was closest to the danger zone. Cue 80s music, Jeff. No, I'm joking. You don't have to do it.
There's a highway somewhere.
There is a highway somewhere. And he went in, and so there was a lot of stuff that was lost. But it's really interesting if you've seen any of the photographs, because the oaks burned, but a great deal of, the rest of the cathedral was untouched.
Yeah, I think the big damage they had was smoke that affected some of the murals and the work on the walls. Yeah. But for the most part, it's astounding how little was really damaged.
Yeah. So first and foremost, he took the Blessed Sacrament out of the tabernacle, and I was reading in another account that I'm paraphrasing, but he said to himself, well, this is an extremely dangerous situation. We're worried that we're going to lose this church. So as he was taking the Blessed Sacrament out of the tabernacle, he gave a Eucharistic benediction. Yeah. He blessed the church with the monstrance, saying, "Jesus, save your house." Wow. And it was about the same time that the firemen were able to save the North Tower and get everything out. And
I heard that, and I was like, man, I think that if I were in that position, I'd just be kind of gathering Jesus in my arms and being like, I'm so sorry. I'm running out. Like
I'm thinking to myself, I wonder if I were that priest, would I have the presence of mind to still be priest, right? To still be a priest. I would like to think that I would. Kind of like a parent, right? Yeah. If your child's in danger, you go into this kind of primal center of your being kind of thing of like, okay, Mama Bear protects, you know? Yeah. And I'd like to think that as a priest, I would do the same thing. I don't know how it would. I never have to exercise.
Right. That. Yeah. That's well. The thing that blows my mind is like I've got an emergency plan for my parish, right? And it's extensive. But I know I've got to take the books. I know I've got to take the Blessed Sacrament. I've got to take the holy oils. I've got to take the relics. There's a list of things I have to take. But I can't imagine being like I'm visiting Father Chris and staying at his place tonight. Can't imagine the church goes down and I've got to bust into his church, a church I'm not super familiar with, and try to find the tabernacle key, which is no joke. Yeah. And then break into that ginormous thing, and then get get our Lord out of there and then look around and go, are there any other relics that are, and even if you'd spent a lot of time in Notre Dame, it's not a joke. There's a lot of space in there.
Big church.
And so, you're looking around, you're like, what can I save? What can I not? There's flames falling around you, and the brother's going, maybe I'll take a moment, give a blessing. We'll see. I mean, it's unbelievable, the presence of mind and the devotion that comes with that. It's really inspiring.
Yeah. A couple of the things that were saved, the crown of thorns. So this is regarded as the cathedral's most sacred relic. And it's purported to be a relic of the crown placed on the head of Jesus at his crucifixion, obtained and brought to Paris by King Louis IX in the 13th century. And so it's made of rushes, which is kind of like a woven brush, right? Wrapped into a wreath and tied with a gold filament. And it's been kept under glass since 1896, and it's only occasionally, as with many of these very special relics, only occasionally displayed. And it was quickly transported to a secret location. So this is really interesting. So Paris, once called the eldest daughter of the church, is now a heavily secular society, and Father Ryan and I experienced that to a great degree when we were traveling in Europe. But there is still the notion that there is a priceless value to these things. And I mean, come a little closer. Let's be honest. Paris is still Christian. I mean, at the deepest level, like, you can't wash away over 900 years of the faith. You can't. And so when something like the crown of thorns is in danger, it's immediately brought to a secret location, right, to make sure that nothing happens. The relics are around 8 inches in diameter. It's made from these rushes bound by wire, initially composed of 70 spines, which have been distributed throughout the world. And one of them was purported to be in the spire, and so it's lost. It's been lost. Or incinerated, I suppose. It has gone back to the Lord. But so the relic of the crown of thorns was removed. Also, the tunic of Saint Louis IX. If you've ever read, it comes up every year on his feast day. The letter of Louis IX, I think it was, to his son. Yeah. And Jeff, if you want to read something that is a beautiful letter of a father to his son, the king to the prince, that letter of Louis IX is beautiful. So Louis IX was, a saint, and he brought the crown of thorns to Paris after arranging to get it from the Latin emperor of Byzantium, because it was in Byzantium, and so he wore just a plain tunic and no shoes, and he walked barefoot behind the relic as it was transported to France. And so that tunic, that relic, was also saved, as was the maize, not the mayonnaise.
Or the corn.
Or the corn. No, I see. Yeah, very good. Maize. Yeah. Maíz, yeah. There were 13 paintings known as the maize from a series of 17th and early 18th century works, and they were commissioned by the city's goldsmiths, the guild, right? Because there was a guild system, as there was in every medieval system, and they wanted to give the cathedral in May of each year between 1630 and 1707. They are also believed to have survived. The works housed in the chapel's nave were evacuated during the fire. So again, priceless paintings, right? And then of course there were some other things, because there were renovations that were already taking place in the cathedral. And so there were some things that were normally there that weren't. Right. And there were also the 12 apostles. There are statues representing the 12 apostles and the 4 evangelists. And those were already in Perronneau in southwestern France. So they weren't harmed. The pictures of them all show them without their heads, but it's easier for them to transport by taking the heads off of the statues.
Because they're just sitting at their feet.
Yeah, it's a little strange to see, yeah. And then, of course, the rose windows. Yeah. Everyone was concerned big about the rose windows. And so Father Ryan and I remember that was our final exam question in our medieval history classes. What is the name of the rose, right? What is the rose? And so the notion of so much of medieval culture being able to be understood by the kind of the mystery and the symmetry of the rose window.
Well, doubly so because Saint-Sulpice, another of the most beautiful churches in Paris, was damaged by arson just a week earlier.
Yeah.
And so that rose window survived, but it was damaged heavily. And so there was a big concern, that two of the great rose windows of the world would be destroyed within 2 weeks of each other. So these were okay.
Yeah, because to my knowledge, we don't build these things anymore. I mean, there are rose windows that you can build. They're done with modern, concrete and stone masonry techniques, but these ancient, these old world rose windows, they speak a catechism. They speak you ready for a long word? A cosmology of the world, where you usually have our Lord in the center, or Our Lady in the center, and then everything else kind of rays out from that. And so it does speak of how the medievals viewed the universe rightly ordered, and so it's a catechism in and of itself. And so they worried about things that were melting because there's lead that binds everything together. He says they may still have to be dismantled, but the windows for the most part have held up.
Yeah.
And so they have to do some work to see what that is. So the organ also did not burn. 8,000 pipes. Nobody knows whether it was damaged by heat or water. Organs are a very
living,
fragile
breathing
organ.
instruments.
They really are.
They really are.
And so they've just been cleaned during 2013. In fact, I remember that refurbishment because they had choirs go all around and sing to pay for the refurbishment of the organ. So I guess it's going to be cleaned, furbished. Yeah. The bells, each one named after a saint, were actually they're no stranger.
They called in the singing gargoyles to make sure that they were all in good condition, and the bells of Notre Dame are okay. So,
that's right. On Quasimodo Sunday, right?
That's right. It was actually true.
Yeah. They've been replaced a number of times because the French Revolution deprived the church of its valuable metal bells so they could make a cannon, as one does.
Wow.
But the bells were okay, this version of the bells. And then there were some things, as you said, that were lost. So the fragment of the Holy Cross and the nail. There was a fragment of the Holy Cross, of the true cross, and then also of the nail, and then also the relics that were in the spire. So Saint Denis, Saint Genevieve, and then one of those thorns as well as a reliquary rooster. All thought to have perished.
The medieval world loved them some rooster
They sure
reliquaries.
did.
I mean, there's a lot of bird reliquaries from that era.
It's
It's
true.
weird, but they're there.
Interesting.
Doves and roosters.
So one of the things that also survived the Paris fire. Us. We are the Catholic Underground. I'm kind of taking hard turns.
I know. I was like,
Segway way, man.
That's right. Into these interstitials, you are listening to the Catholic Underground. We're online at catholicunderground.tv. Yo soy Father Chris. We've also got Kathleen Lee.
Hola.
And Father Ryan.
Bueno.
Jeff Blackwell's up in the satellite.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
You got nachos up there?
Grazie.
Absolutely.
That's right. Hey, Kathleen, what kind of cheese isn't yours?
What kind of cheese?
Nacho cheese.
Nacho cheese.
That's
Get your own.
That's my dad joke / first communion joke /
There it is.
That's great. I like
That's
that.
a train wreck segue, I think is what you
Yeah,
call that.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
There it is.
Our picks of the week are coming up. But first, we thought we'd spend a little bit of time talking about something that made the rounds in social media, and they're called Catholic Parish Do's and Don'ts from millennials.
Yeah.
So rather than us imposing what millennials want,
Right.
we're listening to them.
Yeah, and this has come across my feed several times, and I have avoided it like the plague because a lot of times I think, and this is in my humble opinion,
IMHO.
that sometimes we as millennials make a lot of demands. Well, I would go to church if you did this. Well, just go to church, dude.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have, and so I avoided it. But in reading this article, it has some really good thoughts and some things that make sense, and it seems to come from a more sensitive approach rather than, well, y'all better do this or we're not coming.
Yeah, and honestly, it bridges the millennial generation too, because it's just good common sense.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like Brian Holdsworth is a millennial who's a YouTuber, and these are a lot of the same things he talks about. Like, if you want to get millennials to come to church, these are some of the things you have to do right. And it's not a listen here, you jerk priest, get it right. It's like, but no, if you want to be successful, this is what you do, and this is what you don't do.
Yeah, and it's also not a lot of like play stuff that we find on, Christian radio. It's surprising. So actually the Boston Herald, they had a story that said millennials are making their way back to church, right? And they focus actually on Catholic parishes in Boston that are seeing more millennials at Mass. And so the report gave this guy, Tom Hoops, an idea. Why not ask millennials that he knows what attracts or repels them from parish life? Let's talk to them themselves and say, why do you come to a certain parish, or why do you not? And they have a couple of do's and don'ts. So the first don't: schedule daily Mass only for retirees. Yeah. Which is very interesting because down here in the South we have a lot of noonday masses.
Yeah, and I'm guilty. Mine's at 8:30.
Right.
In the morning.
Yeah. So. And so there was a quote from somebody in this focus group that says, "My generation hates when churches cater to the elderly and retired only." She cited masses scheduled at 8 a.m. or later instead of before or after work hours. Those can be difficult to attend. Yeah. Right. Because now that I'm not teaching anymore, my whole work day is 7:30 to 4. Yeah. Which is awkward, and I don't even work till 5. So it's
so you can't get to a Mass unless it's like 6:30 or something like that.
Right. Yeah. So I have to go to Mass. Yeah, or a noonday Mass, which takes my whole lunch hour, which is fine, but. The millennials are saying that a parish with an 8 a.m. or later daily Mass is saying loud and clear, in their opinion, we don't want working people to attend our Masses. Yeah. Which, they may not mean to, but it's very obvious when it's scheduled in such a way that you can't make it if you're a 9-to-5er, right? Yeah. But there was a Gallup poll that said membership in churches is continuing its 20-year drop, right? And so this is interesting, right? That's a natural consequence of church schedules that exclude working people. If I can't fit it into, if I want to go to a daily Mass and I can't fit it into my day, that can be a problem.
Well, I think there's a lot more going on under the hood than the way this describes. Like, this is not the reason for it, but it's definitely a problem. And I've been in parishes with the 6:30 morning Mass, and it's good. There's people show up, and I would be there at 6 a.m. and have people show up in the confession at 6 a.m. Yeah. But I don't think churches are choosing to do that for the reasons they're giving. But it's a big giant problem, and unless the priest is willing to be super generous and have that 6:30 a.m. Mass and that 8 a.m. Mass for those folks who are asleep in, it really is challenging. And so it's a great point, but I think we should be cautious about saying, well, the priest is doing it for this reason. That I think that's a little dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do they say that we should do? Of course, schedule Mass for working people that they can attend, maybe a later in the afternoon Mass, or an early in the morning. And they say a bonus tip for parishes from the focus group, right, says please put your Mass times on your website.
And have a parish website.
Right. Yes. Have a parish website that is accessible, that does not have dancing things across it. I've had to look up many in my new position, and every time I see one, I go, "Oh, Father Chris does not need to see this."
You just don't tell him the URL.
Comic Sans and an animated GIF, baby.
Right? Yeah. Or put it on your Facebook page. I think something really cool is that our young priests are getting on Facebook and saying, they do one of those I call them from the front seat. They're sitting in the front seat of their car and they say, "Hey, parishioners at blah blah blah, don't forget we got 6:30 Mass or whatever coming up." Yeah. Let people know what it is.
I'm so old. I don't even do that. I'll text it, but I won't. Yeah.
While you're driving, you text.
No, I won't. No, I didn't say that. I just like to point out to the Louisiana State Police, I don't do that.
All right. The second point from this focus group is don't make service opportunities the fiefdoms. Like that
Good word. Good word. Yeah.
I didn't come up with it. I had to Google it. Of previous generations. Right. Millennials also called out service opportunities at parishes, right? And they're saying they tend to be run. Then this is why I get kind of cringy about millennial stuff, because they attack the elderly sometimes. And so it says these service opportunities tend to be run by older people who can't, think outside the box. Yeah. And I think that young people today, especially, are looking for ways to make an impact that's meaningful. It doesn't always have to be something that they can see the result of, but a lot of, I've done a lot of mission works with young people, mission trips, and service opportunities with young people, and they want to work hard, and they want to see something not even maybe like an overall result. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
But they want to see some kind of impact, right? And so what do? Do make the church a place where millennials can serve their communities. Mm-hmm. How can they serve their own parish, right? How can they serve the community where they are? Like what's going on in their city that they can be involved in that's not, baking cookies or making a garden somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that's a challenge here is that for a lot of millennials, they want to show up, have a turnkey project, do that turnkey project, and then go home and have no more follow-up.
Yeah.
And that's not the way 99.99% of projects actually happen.
Right.
And so there's a need to kind of think in a different way about like Altar Society projects or what we do or the way we structure parish events so that we can open up some more turnkey opportunities. Because most of the time, I've had millennials come to me and they're like, well, I want to do this. And you say, okay, well, Mr. So-and-so's in charge of this. And they, no, I don't want to work with him. And you go, well, but you can't just show up and have a project magically appear. And I can't have you work 3 hours and then go, dude, I've got to go. And then have a project that's got 15 things that need to be done that nobody knows how to do because it was so innovative. You're the only one who knows how to do it. So there's got to be priests and clergy and everybody else has to think about how do we create projects that are really oriented toward that degree of work.
Yeah. And on top of it too, there is the notion of seeking counsel from every wise man.
Yeah.
Or woman, as the case may be, right? That a lot of these folks that may be a little in the fiefdom, kind of the king of the castle. They have been there for a while with benefit, and so to maybe get the pastor in on the conversation, because I've had to kind of bridge that gap a little bit to say, well, so and so is younger and is willing to learn from you because, I mean, let's just be honest, you won't be doing this forever.
Right.
And I'd rather not have to pry this fiefdom from your cold, dead hands. I'd like you to be able to share something and pass this on.
That I think is a huge thing that millennials struggle with is like, you're too young, you don't, we've done this forever, this is how we do it. Yeah. And there is no, what's the word I'm looking for? Mentoring or apprenticing of any young people. And so there's this tendency to be like, well, if I don't have a place here, then I'm not coming. If I don't have an opportunity to exist, to participate, not only in service projects, but in anything. I remember, being confirmed and then being told because I was too young that I couldn't be an extraordinary minister at the Eucharist, and I was like, but I'm an adult in the what? Yeah. So there's this like backlash of like, well,
Yeah, sorry, there's nothing for you here, but there is, but there's not, but I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that can be troublesome, and that is one of those dialogues. In fact, George in the chat says, be friendly. I've been to many parishes where there's no effort made to identify and welcome newcomers. That's one of those things that can happen in the midst. Doesn't have to happen at Mass, but to be able to make an effort to say, well, who are our younger people? And do I have people that are in those mentoring positions that can reach out? You know what I think we're going to do? Because it's a good topic, we'll catch it on the other side of the break. So stay right where you are. The Catholic Underground comes right back after this. Hail, Holy Queen, Mother of Mercy, our life, our sweetness, and our hope. To thee do we cry, poor banished children of Eve. To thee do we send up our sighs, mourning and weeping in this valley of tears. Turn then, most gracious Advocate, thine eyes of mercy towards us, and after this our exile, show unto us the blessed fruit of thy womb, Jesus. O clement, O loving, O sweet Virgin Mary. This elevator music brought to you by the Catholic Underground. For more Catholic things, it's CatholicUnderground.com. Hi, everybody. You're listening to the Catholic Underground. We of course are here with you. I'm Father Chris. You've somehow found us, or with us. Never left. Kathleen's here as well.
Yes, I am.
Father Ryan's back for a bit, at least until you go back home.
Yes. Yes. And
then Jeff's where he usually can be found. Well, really most hours of the day.
kind of reminded me of the Farfisa.
It is.
Yeah. You know Father Ryan, the Farfisa?
Yo me gusta, Farfisa. I don't know what it is, but I do like it.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. I've got no idea.
Really? It was like the first electronic organ of its kind.
Okay. I've seen that.
Yeah. A lot of
the 60s.
A lot of surf rock.
Exactly, surf rock, and let's see, Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs.
Very old.
It's not as cool as that ridiculous instrument you play with your magnetic fields, but the theremin.
The
theremin,
theremin. That
yeah.
is wow. Yeah.
There you go.
There's a great documentary about that too.
Jeff, you've abandoned me.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, they did. They geeked out there.
I know. You joined the geekdom.
Yeah. Our picks of the week are coming up. On the other side of the break, we were talking about millennials chiming in for things that are important in parish life. And so we thought we'd just kind of keep on going because it is a good list. And a lot of folks are chiming in the chat, too, as well. Taylor, who I happen to know is a millennial.
Yep.
Is that right? I think, Taylor, yeah, you are. You're a millennial, yeah. Taylor says, being more respectful of non-Catholics attending Mass or events hosted at the church, them attending is a crucial first step in entering the church and furthering their relationship with Christ in a deeper, more vulnerable way. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. Oftentimes, I mean, I don't make the announcement about receiving Holy Communion at every Mass. I usually do it for weddings and for funerals where there are likely to be more non-Catholics. But it's something I've been thinking about, the notion of making a spiritual communion and maybe those who can't receive Holy Communion yet, rather than seeming exclusive but giving some context. I think that can be helpful too.
Well, it doesn't have to be huge. It's just, and then you add on the end. And if you're not Catholic and you'd like to, I don't know, it's not an infomercial, but
Yeah, but Pope Benedict often talked about that he thought there was great benefit to having someone receive a blessing. And I've taken that certainly to heart of there is something valuable about even a non-Catholic or a non-Christian if they want to come forward and receive the sign of the cross over them as a priestly blessing, then certainly that's
well, it's crazy, but I mean if you use the communion rail rather than the line model, it works so smoothly to have people kind of kneel down, they have a moment, they just indicate they're not going to receive Holy Communion, and because you don't have the line motion, it's less awkward, and it makes for a really spiritual experience because they can come up to the front, have their moment right there, intimate with the Lord, and then they don't feel like they're slowing anything down. It's really quite cool.
Yeah. I'm pro rail. I mean, I think that there's a great benefit to it because there's this notion of being fed by the Lord, and even if you're not receiving Holy Communion, you are being fed in the way that He can feed you, right? In that way. Clayton in the chat says a very good point about scheduling masses. It's not that we don't want to make the sacrifice to get there, but there are families to feed, and it isn't intentionally done to exclude certain parts of the population, but it's something that needs to be reevaluated. Some priests don't want to change the mass schedule because it will rock the boat. And the church doesn't need to get with the times, but our scheduling does.
Yeah.
And there's truth to that.
Well, I mean, at a certain point, too, there's a realization that is the church for retirees or is the church for converts? And there's a certain point where when those two come into conflict and you have to choose one, and any choice means you're going to make some people angry. I've been in parishes where that's been a big deal, but at the same time, who do we prioritize? The ones who already love the Lord, those who are trying and making their way to heaven, who are doing all the things right, or those folks who desperately need our help? And that's something that Pope Francis and I can be on the same page about is, I think there's a value in prioritizing those who are trying to get with the Lord to those who are the 99 sheep who are already with the Lord. There's a lot to be said for that, although it will make people furious. And so please don't listen to anything I say. I never said this out loud. Be hush, hush. Nobody tell anybody.
You didn't hear it from him. But that's the thing too, is to be willing to have the discussions that will rock the boat. And to also realize that not every parish has a priest and a parochial vicar to double up on masses for daily mass and things like that. It's not an easy place to be.
But when you're working with a parish that has a school and some nursing homes and a jail and some other stuff, I mean, I've been in a parish where I had 4 daily masses every day, and the idea of let's tack one on to accommodate somebody else is not even remotely possible. And so that's why I was kind of like, let's not get into the idea of intention. Sure. Let's just say it would be ideal if we can do that.
Well, and then it becomes this part is my church.
Yeah.
And I don't become part of the church community. I become part of this. Like when I was doing young adult ministry, and that's why I love them, because I am still one. But when I became coordinator for young adult ministry, it was very interesting how many people were like, look, young adult ministry is really for the 20 to 25. Really is for married couples with, and I was like, wait, actually, it's from 18 to 40.
That's right. This is the international definition.
And in young adult ministry, you have young professionals, you have college people, you have families, you have married, engaged, those who are looking at vocations, and that's just to name a few people. Yeah. So if we start sectioning things off like this is why young adult kind of demands sometimes can give me the
sure
because I'm like we need to also learn how to be a part of that community. So especially with this third one, right? Don't only offer confessions 1 hour a week.
Yes.
Well, here's the thing with young adults. You got to go to confession. Like it doesn't matter like when it is, you know, and that's great if they're saying millennials in this focus group say that the sacrament of confession feels like a sacrament that's built for them, which is very interesting.
Absolutely is.
Right?
Yeah, they have a desire to confess.
Right. It allows them to focus on their unique personal life story and how it intersects with God.
Narcissism.
Yeah. And the world, right? It's all about me, right? But working people do have a hard time, again, getting, maybe if you have a family, they offer it on Saturday nights, like you're at the ballpark or, have a million kids sleeping over at your house or you're just out doing stuff, but in that same sense, right, they do offer confessions in the evening. In that same sense, man, like if you're having a hard time getting to confession on Saturday and that's a priority for you, then do it. Like it's not, it's going to take 30 minutes to an hour. I've seen so many priests on Facebook who have posted pictures of empty confessionals. And they're like,
I'm here, I'm waiting.
Yeah. Well, and more priests than ever now are giving their cell phone number out and saying, text me if you want to text. If you want to make confession, text me and I'll go over there. It's never been easier. But I'm with you. I mean, priests who are listening, please, do that 30 minutes before daily mass. Do that in the evening. If you're going to go to church to pray your breviary anyway, just do that at 6 p.m. or 5:30 or whatever when your folks are going to be getting out, and just let them know the light's on for you. I'll be there, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or whatever. And I mean, and just sit in the confessional. And hey, if you pray your breviary and nobody comes, you've got 5 minutes of utter boredom, but you bring your spiritual reading with you. And if people come, well, thanks be to God. I mean, that's big time.
I mean, not to throw a wrench, but then a clustered parish situation, which is all I've known for the past 8 years of my life, almost a decade. I wouldn't trade it, but it does present some of those logistical issues, right? Because I never know where I'm going to be. I have centralized our mass schedule, but I never know where I'm going to be in an evening time, you know? And so there may be a midway. I mean, maybe an innovative way would be, I thought about having, do you know those little flick buttons? They're these little buttons that are internet enabled, and when you hit them, they do a certain action. And so I was thinking about getting a flick button, and whenever I press it, it says it tweets "Father's in the confessional."
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
At such and such a place.
At such and such a place.
Yeah.
And then so they'll know that for an hour I'm there.
Interesting.
I haven't done it yet, but I'm tempted to do so.
Well, and this also becomes a moment where the church as a whole needs to work together, because I mean, where I am in my parish is far away from where people work. I just don't have people working in my community, and so the priests who are down the road at the big parish where everybody works, they in a certain sense have an even greater responsibility than does the priest who has a cluster, to say, look, if I'm where people work, I'm in Central Baton Rouge, I'm in New Orleans, I'm in Chicago, wherever, then you say, that those folks really do need to make a meaningful effort to sit in those confessionals. And the priest who is in the country or more rural, do what you can do, but that's the opportunity where Father Chris, you say, here's my cell phone, or here's my text me, or here's my Google Voice number. You can't use it to get in touch with me, but it will forward your text along or whatever.
Right, yeah.
And it allows me to get in touch, or hey, DM me on Twitter or whatever. Something that's direct to those millennials. You can make a lot of progress that way.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I agree.
Yep. So one of the other things that millennials love is fellowship, right? We love to hang out. We love to go to, the brewery or...
It's good. We love to drink.
Yeah, we love to hang out.
I like coffee. I like beer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I like wine. Add some cheese. I'm there.
All right. Well, often, a lot of times, the fellowship opportunities at parish can, again, center around the elderly. Yeah. We just feel so bad for the elderly.
That's right. And the Polydent raffle goes to.
Right, right. Now, this next part talks about, maybe the only women's group is for moms. Okay, well, those are usually millennials at this point. And maybe, the only men's group is for maybe the KCs.
Or the VFW.
Right. Yeah, right.
Right. Yeah.
Are we having opportunities? Do we have somebody in your parish who is a young adult minister? Who coordinates these things? And I'm not talking about, this person is the youth and young adult coordinator, because you know who's going to get 99% of that budget, of that time, of those resources. The youth group. I'm talking about a dedicated young adult minister who can look at the needs of the young people in your parish, and can minister to the different kinds of all those young people, all those millennials that I talked about. Right? You're not for me. I'm not a young moms group is not going to work. I don't have any children's except for Little Chunk, and he is not invited. Okay.
That's a dog, by the way, for those of you maybe new to the program.
Yeah, I'm a little French bulldog, right? So oftentimes that can be frustrating. What is there for single young adults that's not speed dating?
Yeah.
Catholic speed dating, unless you know of any that are out there.
I found in Chicago, whenever I went to the Latin Mass training workshop, there's a fairly dynamic parish there that's kind of the epicenter of that, St. John Cantius. And it's staffed, of course, by religious order priests, the brothers, the canons regular of St. John Cantius. So there are a lot of young priests there, a lot of young brothers, and really kind of goes up the scale.
Right.
But they have a very dynamic youth ministry that's really not youth ministry in the sense that we think about it, here's a program. But they have young adults that will do a bar crawl.
Yeah.
And they'll end up back at the parish center, which itself has a bar,
Yeah.
Or they'll do an art crawl where they'll experience some form of Christian culture, in one of the many art museums in Chicago. Or they'll have a symposium where they invite somebody in, kind of like Theology on Tap.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's an opportunity to come together that causes the mind some exercise. And then maybe perhaps they'll also go to a low mass, or they'll go to mass together. Sure. Yeah. And so there is the element of, I don't want to call it speed dating, but there is the element of meeting people, because I was watching it happen, but then being able to see them praying together.
Sure. Right.
And then also being able to recreate together. And those things will then take place off of the church property.
Right.
Because you're seeing, well, these are people with which I share a value system,
Right.
and that's what the church is supposed to be there for, right? When we call it a center of culture, cult is not always a bad word, right? It is the thing around which we worship, around which we center ourselves, and for us, that cultus of worship is Christ. And so that's where the culture comes from, but it has to stem out into the rest of our life.
Right.
And that's really kind of the basis for fellowship is that shared center of worship.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of millennials, young adults are looking for that integration of faith and real life. That maybe they feel like sometimes everything that they do in their parish is centered and I'm saying this, it can sound bad, but it's centered around just Jesus, and that when you go to, every young adult function is a mass or an adoration, and that's it. But if you can say, hey, look, we're going to have a 7 p.m. mass, and then we're going to do a potluck after, or we're going to go out to eat after. It's okay, yeah, we can do the Jesus thing, where it's supposed to be, and then bring it where it should be, and you continue. We used to have Christ in the City here in town, where we'd have an hour of adoration, which was beautiful, and then we go out to eat afterwards, and it was so fun, because then there's a spiritual aspect to it. There's this being fed spiritually, right? And then you get to go and just be with people who are who are of like mind.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the big giant things there is that millennials are going to struggle to find somebody else who knows what millennials think. And so one of the best things to do is to say, look, I've got some ideas, I've got some suggestions, even if I'm not able to take leadership in them, let me go talk to, my priest, let me go talk to people in the parish. Because I think one of the big struggles is that the way that people socialized from, say, the 1800s to like the 1970s was basically the same.
Right.
You got together, you hung out a little bit, you said some things, maybe you prayed, maybe you read, but nowadays it's so different.
Yeah.
And it's very, very difficult. I mean, I'm 40, so technically I'm at the end of youngness. But it's still, and even though I'm somebody who I think is pretty aware of what's going on with the younger people, I would have to guess hard at what millennials are doing, and so just being able to say, hey, look, here's some suggestions, even if it's just an email or a text or not a Snapchat. We don't do Snapchat. They're not doing it.
So don't ask.
They don't keep the records. Not going to do it. Not safe. But I mean, just being able to know that, sometimes it's a matter of saying folks just don't know better.
Right, yeah.
So I wish more millennials would reach out to me and tell me this is what we need, because that'd be so helpful.
Yeah, I think in the same vein is that, it's not in this article, but one thing that I think is often seen as a gift, but not always, like young people don't always how do I say this without sounding, okay. Like we need older priests.
Yeah.
Right. We can't just be assigned the young priests, which is cool. They're
One
great.
Day I will
They're
be an older
so
priest.
Good. Right. But I've seen, gosh, I'm just, at LSU's Christ the King, the student, church on campus. I've seen older priests be assigned there, and you would think like, oh man, like that's. Right. The joy and the wisdom and the counseling that these priests have just by being themselves.
Yeah.
Right. They're not trying to be 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
They are, 50, 60-year-old men.
And they know it.
And
their hips
who
creak.
act like that, who are that spiritual father in a real way.
Yeah.
Right. Because I'm starting to get older than some of our priests that are being ordained.
You and me both, sister.
And it can be somewhat of a struggle to get into that, father mode, right? But you see an older priest that just is confident in their vocation. You're like, oh yes, like I as a young person need this in my life. I need this fatherhood in my life, right?
That's right.
And so I encourage, if you are an older priest, and by older I mean y'all aren't that old, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But if you are an older priest, don't be afraid to get involved with young people, and don't be afraid to be yourself, because the last thing that they talk about is don't try to be hip.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't do it. Just be authentically who you are.
Yeah.
Right. Don't try and have a fake, on social media presence. Right. Get somebody who can do it. You don't want to try too hard, because we're not looking for that. We're looking for young adults, millennials are looking for authenticity.
Don't base your sermon on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air rap, please.
Just because the 80s are back again.
Ding, ding, ding. Right. Right. It's very interesting that young adults, especially in this focus group, they started talking about music at Mass.
Yeah.
And, a lot of times you think that the older generation is like, oh, we're not listening to that new agey, church music.
I've heard older parishioners say, well, if you want to get the kids here, then you have to sing the rock music.
Right. Which is not true.
Yeah. Where does that come from?
I don't even know. But the people in this focus group, some of the hymns that they wanted were "To Jesus Christ, our Sovereign King."
One of my favorites, actually.
Right.
It's my favorite thing.
"Holy God, we praise thy name. Hail, Holy Queen, enthroned above." They're going old school.
Adorote
right?
Devote.
Yes.
Love
retro,
it.
vintage
Love it.
is all in. Because why? Because it's good music. Right? When you the 50 and older crowd wanted the hymns that were popular in the 70s and 80s, right? On Eagles Wings.
Notice I'm not saying anything. Father's not saying anything. We're quiet here. This is a lay person who is a churchgoer.
I've been in music ministry, and it's a struggle because you have I did a youth music ministry for a youth mass for a long time, and it was difficult because you're trying to figure out music that is liturgically appropriate, that everybody can sing, that's not a show, and that has meat to it. Yeah. Right? That means something. Right.
There are some parishes that have been singing of God's love forever, and they've just never stopped.
No.
Yes. Yeah. They've been singing that song nonstop.
That doesn't end.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It had its day.
Yeah.
It did.
But be authentic, right? We're not looking. I think there's a swing. I think back to young people are looking for, what does the church teach? Authentically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Don't tell me, like, don't sugarcoat it. Don't try and make me feel good about myself when I'm in the midst of sin. Mm-hmm. I want to know the truth, right? I want to know how, if I'm looking to be Catholic, I want to know how to be Catholic.
Right.
I don't want to know how to be somewhat religious, that, don't worry about it. Just go live your life.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Well, and the millennial experiences, I mean, as I've seen it, has been wrought with, well, we've been lied to an awful lot.
Yeah.
Our family situations have been a disaster. The way that life has been portrayed to us has been inauthentic. So please, if this is real and this is the true church and this is the fullness of truth,
right,
I want all that.
Yeah.
I want it all, and start at the beginning.
Right. Yeah, and I think, there's been, we've talked about this before on the show, this delayed adulthood.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we're not gonna teach our juniors in high school, about the dangers of sin and sex, because they can't deal with it. Baloney. That's malarkey. And then you have 30-year-olds who are like, well, I can't take care of myself. I can't function in the world because no one has like allowed them to grow up. Does that make sense?
It's malark baloney.
Yes. Yeah. And so, like, it's the same thing with the church. We're teaching our juniors in high school. I picked that group because I taught that group, right? We're teaching them like color book pages.
Yeah, instead of how to adult in the faith.
And and you know who's not teaching them? I'm getting on a...
That's okay.
You know who's not teaching color book pages? The real world.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
The real world. And so they're dealing with stuff that's outside the church. They're being lured away. We're not holding fast to the truth of what we believe in as a church, because we're not giving it to them, because we don't feel like they're old enough, mature enough, whatever. We want to protect them, and that's it's a good sense, right? But I think it can be super dangerous, and that's what we're dealing with millennials now. Is this? Hey, I'm an adult. Mm-hmm. And I want to act like an adult, so treat me like an adult.
That's right.
And when it comes to faith, like, that's a huge thing. I'm not dumb. Mm-hmm. Tell me the truth.
And part of of teaching the truth to an adult who says I'm an adult is emphasizing that which is not just natural.
Right. I mean, that's the only thing I would add to the list, is that when I've worked with young people, emphasizing the supernatural was a big deal. I mean, when we were in Europe, the two things that work big, tradition and charismania. Mm-hmm. And both of those are very deliberately supernatural. When kids talk to me, the first thing they ask is, have you ever been to an exorcism? Have you seen one? Is that the real deal? What's the story with that? Yeah. I mean, it's number one topic of interest. I mean, and hey, and as soon as I say, yes, I have, everybody gets real serious.
That's
right. I mean, nobody is like, what? Seriously?
That's right.
I mean, and so that the supernatural is a big deal for that generation.
That's right.
It's very important.
Because it's not emphasized. It's only hinted at in popular culture.
Right.
And so, again, if you're the fullness of truth, if you are the Catholic Church, if you are the place where the exorcists come from, tell me about it. Yeah. This is part of the treasury, the deposit of our faith, and I want to Scrooge McDuck up in that.
We got so much more than the CW, y'all.
Yes.
We have more than the CW can bring, y'all.
Yes, indeed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Word.
We just have a whole generation out there that's not equipped to deal with the realities of sin, of the evil one, of everything that they have. We're like sending them out to battle with foam swords.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
LARPing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
LARPing the faith. I'm gonna
LARPing the faith. Exactly.
That.
Yeah.
Thank you.
When really what young people want is a halberd.
Yes.
They want a Swiss Guard pike. That's what they want.
Yes, they do.
Well, I think we could continue for another 2 hours, but we do have a clock here we gotta keep. So I suppose we should go to that part of the show that we like to call
the CU Pick of the Week.
All right, Kathleen, you have regained your throne. Your pick of the week.
Now that Olivia's gone. Back on top, people. I've been in this new position at the Women's New Life Center since December, so about 6 months. And one thing that I've learned about, and if you've seen the movie Unplanned, you know about Abby Johnson, who worked at a Planned Parenthood in Texas and is now staunchly, I love that word, been using it, staunchly pro-life. And she's a pro-life warrior. And she started this movement called And Then There Were None. And then there were none. And so what she does is this organization helps former abortion clinic workers get out of the business. And I used to think like, dude, just walk away. Like, it's got to be that easy. It's not. Some of these people are, because it's interesting. They're in this job because they're trying to support a family or for whatever reason. And it becomes somewhat of a black mark on your resume. Yeah. And so a lot of professional or other healthcare, facilities won't hire you. And so they work to get people out of the industry and get them new jobs, and to work through whatever, maybe guilt or trauma that they're dealing with. Mm-hmm. And you could go check it out at abortionworker.com. Abortionworker.com. The organization is called And Then There Were None.
All right. Excellent. Very cool. Father Ryan, your pick of the week.
I want to recommend a book called Messy, The Power of Disorder to Transform Our Lives. Those who know me know I'm OCD. I have zero interest in messiness, and I would like to see it all destroyed across the entire universe, Thanos included, all of it gone. But the reality of the world is not the same way. And so this book is called Messy, and it's all about the different people and different environments in history that have taken chaos, confusion, messiness, and found a way to transform that into something really useful, really valuable. And this is everything from jazz music to military tactics to cities that are dealing with their trash problem in creative ways. Mm-hmm. It's an incredible book. I thoroughly enjoyed reading it, and I recommend highly to others who might be either a little OCD or just looking to say, what can I do to take the chaos around me and make use of it?
Very cool. Yeah. Speaking of messy, Jeff, your pick of the week is curious at best.
I guess so. And I know I'll probably get a little ridicule for this, but
I can't wait.
It's called the Forever Roll.
Oh. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, from Charmin, and this is a roll of toilet paper that'll last a month. And I'm serious. It comes with the stand or the wall attachment if you want to, hang it in the bathroom. But
get real.
I'm telling you, man, it definitely gets people talking. But here's the deal: you get 3 of these giant rolls and the stand for $30. If I went to get groceries for my wife a few months ago, I went to get toilet paper, and it was just like I had to get a mortgage. To pay. This stuff is expensive. So anyway, I just check it out. It's in the show notes. It's from Charmin, called the Forever Roll. Now, Father Chris.
I think if I had one wish, I would wish for endless pizza and not endless toilet paper. I'm just saying.
Wouldn't you need both at some point?
Well, if this is indeed a forever roll, it's a Mobius strip of toilet paper.
Yes.
So, I I don't know.
Science.
How do you put a price on that? My pick of the week, as you know, I'm a member of the Militia Immaculata, which is St. Maximilian Kolbe's prayer warriors devoted to Our Lady the Immaculate. And so if you're interested in that, the Militia of the Immaculata has published a little booklet that has the path to total consecration to Our Lady in the spirit of St. Maximilian Kolbe. It's a paperback version of some of the stuff that's on the website at consecration.com. But sometimes it's nice to have a booklet, right? So if you're actually working on it, so all the preparation work is there. It talks a little bit about the history of St. Maximilian Kolbe. Gives you some readings, and then takes you through the consecration to Jesus through Mary. And so that's my pick of the week. I'll put that in the show notes if you're interested in picking up a copy of that. All right, Jeff, we are very thankful for all of our benefactors, those who make this show possible with their financial resources, but also with their prayer. All of you, thank you, right?
Absolutely. And this week, the Catholic Underground is possible because of people just like you. Join the growing number of undergrounders at CatholicUnderground.com/donate. And an important way to support us is to like us, heart us, star us, share us on your social media platform of choice. And if you really like our podcast, pop by iTunes and leave us a review and click them stars, young'uns.
Our panelists this week have been Kathleen Lee, the benefactress. She's at KLee626 on Instagram.
That I am.
Yep. Thanks, Kathleen.
Welcome.
Also, Father Ryan Humphries. He's at FR Humphries on all the social media platforms.
He is. I'm FR Ryan at Instagram. And FR Humphries everywhere else.
Oh, there you go. All right. Our technical director is Jeff Blackwell. He's at Jeff Blackwell-us and jeffblackwell.us. Thanks, Jeff.
It's a privilege, Father.
Also, our research assistant, the leader of the crew in the lab, is Jim Hayes, and all of his young'uns.
Yes.
Everybody is in on it. And, of course, Ben, we're looking at you. We're saving a seat for you anytime. And your sisters, too, obviously, right? But Ben was the breakaway hit.
Yeah, he was.
His sisters know that.
Yeah.
Also, our video and graphics director is Ed Ball. And you know me, I'm Father Chris. You can follow me on Instagram at Digital Catholic or FatherChrisDecker.com, which apparently is a thing. Yeah, we hope we've helped you cut through the noise and find that still small voice, because he's there. We are the Catholic Underground, and we are Faith Gone Digital. We'll see you next time.
From the Catholic Underground.